We are high on a hill above Bill Gates' house in an enclave outside of Seattle, and I have been invited to preview an estate. I'm also helping price some of the glass and things, so we're going to take a look together and discover what is in this very packed house. Let's go in, and you'll see this place is so packed you can barely walk through it. This is the table I've been working on pricing today, and there are some neat pieces. There's stretch glass from the 1920s, a three-piece set there. There's a big bohemian cut vase. This painted vase here is a Fenton. We have a Mary Gregory style here. Some older Fenton perfume bottles with the Carlton decoration on it. And even, yes, these are collectible too, these Liz Taylor miniature perfumes from the 1980s. Just found the Fenton Vaseline bell in a box with other boring metal bells, so that was a nice surprise. A couple of pocket watches, the ladies' watches that open from the side. Yes, they were called ladies' watches. I know that's old-fashioned, but that was the term. This one works. It's an Elgin. It should be worth a little over $100, so they've got it priced $50. This one has a cracked crystal and needs some work. It's priced at $30. And they may have belonged to this woman here, Clyde Hill Wheeler. And we have a nice old picture of her that came out of a union case. It looks like it is a tintype rather than a daguerreotype or an ambrotype. So she is preserved for posterity. This little bell is a Waterford with the original label on it. Underneath the Fenton bell is this nice piece, the Jefferson glass meander pattern from before 1910, similar to Northwood. Cute little signed studio piece. Can't really read the signature on that one. Probably one of our Northwest artists here who studied under the Pilchuck School. There's some older pattern glass in the clear, a newer urn. This was something that I had to be told about today because I didn't realize that these were made for Fenton, and this wedding ring band is actually pretty collectible. And so I asked them to spot check my pricing, and they said, oh, those are actually better than you realize. So we priced them up a little. They're still a bargain compared to what they sell for online. A couple of different Westmoreland lace colors here and patterns in the candlesticks. The Fenton candy jar. Again, we're trying to price these at prices that we would pay if we came to shop at this place. It is an estate sale. This piece is very pretty, and I suspect it has a metal holder somewhere. This looks like it's an etch from the early 1900s. So we haven't priced that yet. We're hoping we find the other piece that it goes into. Some nice delphinium blue here. Some shiny brights. Here's another piece of that Fenton. Turns out this sold for $65 recently. I priced it a little too low at first, but we figured it out. And of course, this is uranium glass in Fenton as well. I only put 15 on that. Boy, someone should snatch that up right away. Fenton thumbprint. These were made to go along with Noritake in the 1970s, and ruby always cost a little bit more. It even costs more than amberina, which you see in the moon and stars there. Bunch of ruby in time for Christmas. Love this cat table. Isn't that fun? And then we open this up. It's an old sewing machine case. Now these are fun. These were kits that were done in the 1960s and 70s, and you'd make little Ming trees and faux bonsai with jeweling. It sort of reminds me of the stuff Yvonne Thrifty Rich likes to collect that has all the little safety pins that they would decorate with. Well, here is this version of it. And I think that's a fun collection. We're pricing them at $6 to $8 each. Nice 1910s oak table underneath. Then we get into some purple glass here. Purple is the color that we see less of, and it tends to sell for a little more. There's some moon and stars, a nice substantial pair of candlesticks, an Italian vase in the back. That's Empoli. This piece here, it almost looks like Blanco, but I think it's a rainbow glass piece. And we're definitely seeing a resurgence of interest in these white wine icers where you put the ice in the tube in the back. and pour the white wine in. That was a 1970s thing, and it's something that's popular with collectors now as well. And then a bunch of this opalescent fan vases and bowls and that sort of thing, an old trunk vase in the back. So far I've found some cute glass in here to price, and now I get to look around. So now we're going to get into the rest of the house, and I haven't really seen the rest of the house, so we're going to have fun doing this together. This is an 1880s marble top American chest of drawers with the grape carving. That looks like it's in nice shape. Some clear decanters and things on there. A whole showcase wall here. Some of this is very old. This looks like early 1900s, possibly Limoges. This piece is probably Lenox. Yes, the blue mark before 1952. This looks like an old Nippon with the beading. Royal Albert, the Old English rose. A different pattern than the old country roses, but they complement each other nicely. With cups and saucers. There are cups and saucers, and then there are cups and saucers. People like footed. This piece is hand painted. I suspect it's Japanese. There are some pieces of Shelley in here, and then there's just some cute English pieces like that one by Queens. Here we have the Star and Swag pattern of pattern glass from about 1870. That's a nice piece we'll have to take out and feature. Pretty pair of Wedgwood candlestick holders. I have to say I'm tempted by those. And Taboo. I always sell that little bottle of perfume for about $8 to $10 when I have it. A friend of mine has this. I know it's from the early 80s because she got hers then. Hers is actually a cookie jar, but it's the same thing. It's supposed to be Puff the Magic Dragon, and this was by Outfit in the early 80s that went by the name of Quan Quan. I see a whole jar full of coins in here, and right away I'm seeing silver dimes and old wheat pennies. So I think this is something that I will have to take home and sort for them. It's in a cute little pig bank that says, "Brother, can you spare a dime?" Little pig. And apparently somebody could. This was originally a holder for mustard. And here we see a bunch of cruets. This is Imperial's Cape Cod pattern. They have one blue piece in a tumbler on another table. This is an interesting spatter glass here. But the way it's polished, it looks like newer glass. It feels greasy like newer glass as well. See that sort of satin finish on the polish? Definitely indication of something that is not as old as it's trying to look. This one looks like an early American pattern glass piece, and look at the wear on that. See the difference? This is definitely an old piece and a very pretty color. Another piece of Westmoreland. Here we get into more cups and saucers. And there are some cute ones here. I like some of the Scenics. This is Royal Albert Petty Point. Here's Shelley. This is a Shelley pattern you don't see as often. I talk a lot about Shelley Dainty. Well, there's the Dainty without decoration. Dainty is that blank. And then they would put various patterns on it. So you see this is the same shape, but it has a pattern. In this case, in transferware. Look at that cute little face. It's just a sweet little piece made in Mexico, actually. I have not seen this sort of Mexican bisque ceramic before. He's quite darling. Paperweights. Of course, people are into paperweights. This one is a Museum of Modern Art recreation. I think they're trying to make that look sort of like nail sea glass from early 1800s England. And then this one again, look at the polish. Flat, satiny. It's even been filled with something. So this is offshore and recent. There's a Shelley Dainty Blue cup and saucer. And then this piece is chintz, English chintz. Rosina is the name of the company who made that. A whole shelf full of bells. We've been finding a lot of bells in the house. Looks like a few Hummels down there, including the Christmas varieties. Some more paperweights that seem modern, but underneath here I see a very cute 1930s looking condiment set made in Japan. That's just got a great look to it. This table has turned into salt dips. The people who are working on this estate have been working on it for a few weeks, trying to get it just to this point where I could come in and help them. I'm a big fan of these glass ones with the intaglio designs. Those always sell well for me. These little Viking ships are pretty collectible as well. Sterling or silver plate, those are pieces that will sell. And then here's the little ones that go along with their spoons from Norway. A couple of nice little salt spoons as well. Definitely have collectors for those. Some other noteworthy ones, moon and stars, of course. These cute little pedestals with the painting are Noritake Nippon with the Morimura Brothers mark. Next to a nice little olive lifter. This one has a ruby flash base. Now these are Wedgwood. Look at the quality. Now look at these. This is a cheap Jasperware-like knockoff, Transomware. And this one looks like it might be eCanada. It doesn't seem to have a mark. Or it could be Adams, but notice the difference in quality. The white stops. It's not as much relief. Wedgwood is definitely where it's at if you're collecting this sort of thing. Cute little doggy candy container. And a turtle living on a cup. Down on this shelf we have some older porcelains. I see some older teapots, some 1910s porcelain. This very cute little Demitasse cup and saucer with the beehive mark is Royal Vienna. So that's a find. A chintz teapot here, and then this piece jumped right out at me because it has the gold edge, and when you see this big broad gold edge in an Art Nouveau style, a lot of times these are Picard or Durant. And we're going to take a look. When they're hand painted like this and have a signature, these can be worth considerably more than your run-of-the-mill plate. And it is on a French Limoges blank, and there is the Picard mark. Picard was a decorating outfit in the Chicago area, and they would buy the blanks from the Limoges factories in France, bring them over and have their artists paint on them. So this is a pretty nice little piece. I'm also rather fond of this one with the butterflies, just because the butterflies are such a neat design. This was painted by hand. Somebody bought this and then painted it a Bavarian plate in 1924. She did the butterflies herself, and I think she did a wonderful job. I don't mind amateur painted plates if they are interesting, and this one is. And then we have the Royal Dalton balloon seller couple there. That's one of the figures that actually still sells relatively well because it's so vibrant and so distinctive. And they bought it at an estate sale from Carrying Transitions for $60 for the pair, which is probably about what it will sell for now. This looks like a 1950s era mark. The Matryoshka doll here with the angel, that's cute. There'll be a whole nest of those in there. Can I do this with one hand? It looks like they're all the same basic design on each level, but very sweet. And this probably would sell for $35 or $40 where I sell. This is one of the Murano marks that we start to be suspicious of, but this one is Murano. I've seen this piece before. It's got lots of gold and lots of millefiori. So this one I think is legit. But when you get into this mark and some of the little red marks, you have to be very careful. This is a glass piece that was decorated in a manner similar to how Picard decorated porcelain in their later years when they were just doing an all-over gold brocade. Now let's see what else we have in the house, because boy, this place is really jammed and they're just getting to some of this stuff. A whole bunch of old atlases. This person liked to go to estate sales too. They didn't even take the tag off that little woodstock critter. This is a cute little dealy girl from the 1940s. This one actually has the mark on the bottom. Usually they just had a silver sticker, but this one says Dealy Art. And this one, I believe, was by Florence. It was one of their starter pieces. There's the Florence ceramics marks on the bottom. Florence was a woman who went through a lot of tragedy and then ended up building a wonderful business because she started making figures that were happy and smiling to surround herself after her husband and her sons were all killed in the Second World War. Here's a later piece of Lenox. Nice design. I. was a good store, so we're going to see what's in there. Cobalt salt and pepper shakers with the chrome liners. And there we have a nice 1920s English sideboard. Oh yeah, there's stuff in every drawer. Bunch of ironwood figures and carvings. And then up here, a bunch of Fenton, but not the kind of Fenton a lot of people recognize. Now, people recognize Rosaline and the Angels, but these pieces are Fenton Jade from the 1920s and 30s. And you don't see as much of this, and unless you have it in a strong light like this, you don't realize how really beautiful it is. But it is really gorgeous. The big handled bowl there, I'm sure is worth over $100. And so we'll have to do some research and pricing on those. Nice crackle pitcher as well. Jade is one of the things that kept Fenton going. This is another early 80s Quan piece, and they definitely had the whimsy down, made in Japan. Bunnies in a helicopter. I don't get it, but it's a music box that plays We've Only Just Begun to Multiply, I guess. Into the kitchen we go. There's a little bit of Jane Ray. There's a little bit of a whole lot in here. They have a job ahead of them. I'm glad I'm able to help them a little bit. And plates galore. Norman Rockwell plates. Not an easy sell these days. Some older patterns of china. There is one of those tobacco tins. We see this one fairly often. I have it for sale myself right now, but it's a neat design. Patterson's seal, and it has the seal right on it, made in Richmond, Virginia from about 1910. This is a lunchbox style for obvious reasons. At the bottom, this is a Stangl Town and Country spatterware pattern from the 1970s, even though it looks a lot older than that. It was a very popular pattern of theirs in that period of time. Crystal Darks, these were very popular in the 80s. You see them all over the place now, but they've got a whole bunch in the original boxes still. All of this various flatware from the 1930s and 40s. There's Danish Princess in the box. Lots of boxes of partial silverware sets. And more. Boy, what a dig this is. I think I'm going to be at this for a while. They have everything from Rosenthal plates to Stangl Magnolia. Nice old Hall teapot, the mint green there. Some Franciscan Desert Rose, in fact a big set of it, because it was, after all, the most popular dinnerware pattern in history. Jackie Kennedy even ordered some for the White House. A bowl of Christmas ornaments, some various miscellaneous depression glass pieces, as well as this peachy color of French glass from the 1970s that looks similar. More of the opalescent. Found these outside and I'm soaking them. I don't think this one is Viking glass. I think it's a later piece, but the giant punch bowl is Fostoria American, and those sell at this time of year. And then there's some various etch glasses from the 1930s, a raffia-ware ice bucket, Corel-ware. This is going to be a good estate sale. I'm glad my friends got this one. It should be good for the family, good for the people shopping here, and lucrative. Cobalt bottles. This was very popular to do in the 1980s, and they saved a whole bunch of them. People do like the color. The enamelware in the orange is going to be 70s. A little bit of Pyrex. A couple of pieces of 1970s Le Creuset. Some more Pyrex. Of course, you've got cupboards full of all the other stuff you have in a house, because this is an estate sale and it is everything and then some. There's a modern stamp postage album. We see this one a lot. This was very popular in the 1930s and 40s because FDR collected stamps. A lot of other people did too. It didn't cost a lot of money to collect stamps. They have a bunch of Canadian. This overstrike, where they raised the air rates, might be a little more uncommon. Chile, a lot of these are from the 1930s and 40s, when this book would have been new and these stamps would have been new. I am looking for older ones at this point for my collection. I always thumb through these just to get a feel for the age, because once in a while you'll see a collection where you have things back before the 1920s, and that's where there is still value in some stamps. Here's a bunch of the ones that were used as money during the hyperinflation that helped lead to the rise of Hitler. One Nazi stamp in there. Ukraine. Here's what stamps in Mexico looked like at a certain time. There's an old 5 centavos. There's all your old magnifiers and aids that you could buy. They're scarcely more expensive now. It's amazing how inexpensive things coming from China are. A whole bunch of violet porcelain in this case. Norcrest was the company that imported a lot of this. A nice English set too. This is very cute with the tendrils. This one is Adderley. That'll be priced as a set. Plants and paintings and artificial flowers and a whole stack of paper and magazines. That's going to be a minute to take. All right, we have instructions for that Singer sewing machine that's over there. An Eastern Choir cantata, lots of sheet music, a Tude music magazine, which is very popular in its time, tons of sheet music. Most sheet music doesn't sell for much. Once in a while you'll find something that is related to a cartoon character or related to something of a racial nature that is not considered appropriate anymore. For example, that's worth a little bit of money now. Nice early 1900s silver plate, and late Victorian as well as some 20th century pieces. And I am seeing people starting to decorate with this again because the prices are inexpensive and the new generation doesn't mind tarnish. They don't want to polish, but they'll look at it and use it the way it is. These are fun. These are Edge of Glass Studio. And you kind of get a feeling for the color. This was a Northwest studio. James Curtis is the designer of these pieces, and these were done in the 1990s. Very lovely vitrine, actually, with the nice beveled doors. Might even be 1920s. The styles didn't really change much around that time. Fenton stretch glass, the 2 bowls there. Westmoreland candlesticks. Another stretch glass piece with the dolphins. The 2 Fenton wheat vases, those actually sell for pretty good money. We'll have to price those appropriately. Viking Georgian in the satin glass. A nice Victorian chair to match. Boy, there is a lot of stuff in this house. Rah, rah, rah. Interesting old woven basket. Copper teapots. The Doughboy picture is probably a family member. The convex frame is gone. Old-time graniteware colander there. And we'll have to see who made this. There's a Boyd's bear sitting in it. Those were definitely collectible in the 1980s and 90s. This one was $30 and then $10 at an estate sale, which is probably about where it'll be at this estate sale. But I'd like to see the bottom of this cauldron. It's not super heavy, but it is Griswold, and that's a good thing. So that will be worth doing a little research and putting a good price on. If I had a way to take it back to Kentucky with me, I would want to buy it. Nice old sewing basket there. This place definitely has stuff. even records, although they appear to be things like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and Ray Conniff rather than the rock and roll people are looking for. Hawkeye Flash Fun. Ooh, this could be neat. I thought these were just going to be all games, but this is one of those Kodaks in the gift boxes that were popular in the 50s and 60s. Just your basic, easy-to-use camera. It doesn't have its accessories in it. That's too bad, because if it was in a little better shape and had more to it, that'd be pretty good. But it's a good basis for someone to add those accessories and build it back into a set. Quilts, looks like 1930s. I'm definitely a fan of these. This one has the basket, but that one is a little bit torn. This one has a nice pattern as well, also a little bit threadbare in places. And then this one with the rings, and then the wedding ring below, look like they might be in a little better condition. There is one little run there, but these are definitely popular, and I see them selling for big prices in other parts of the country, so this may be something to look at more closely to buy. Looks like there's a whole lot of costume jewelry. On first glance, it looks fairly ordinary, although look at that huge flower-powered daisy. You could imagine this in a big bow in somebody's hair about 1963. Somebody had fun making this one out of buttons. There's shells, there's Christmas trees, including this blue Christmas in honor of Elvis, I guess. I haven't actually seen a blue Christmas tree pin before. I like that. And then speaking of Christmas, wow, here is one of the biggest bejeweled ornaments that I've seen in a long time. Another modernist Christmas tree pin from the 60s or 70s. Some nice red Aurora glass beads. So there's a few fun things in there. This guy and his horse could use a meal. And look at all of these interesting little critters made with Google eyes out of desiccated desert plants. But now let's snoop in the photographs, because you definitely find out interesting things about old families and what their priorities were and what they did for fun. There's when somebody had a kid, and oh, look at that. What a great early 1950s pedal car. That would be worth some money nowadays. So would the Woody behind it. The family took personal papers important to them, but I see there's some old pictures here. Cute little frame. Man in his dapper hat from the Lucier family. More candid shots and family shots. These are very cute. The toddlers in their little rollers. So many of these people's names are lost to time, unfortunately. This family doesn't know who a lot of these people are, and that's why they left them here. There's some great old dolls in a photo. You, of course, had to pay to print all of this, so saying, gee, take a picture of my dolly, that was actually something that you had to convince mom and dad was worthwhile. So you don't see a lot of pictures of things like that. It's usually people. Someone playing the violin and someone looking very sporty in April of 1925. Cute little box, cigar box with a bunch of, it looks like tatting in it. Pacific Stoneware, this was the company that Bennett Welsh turned into a modernist stoneware maker, but he kept making the crockery as well, so that the people who'd worked in that plant for years could continue to have those jobs while they developed their new lines. More silver plate, a bunch of Italian Christmas creche figures, those are pretty good. And then this set here is cute. I wonder what the story on these are. They almost look like some of the Mexican figures that we see. And that would be my guess, because they're a little more darkly complected, and I think that's a really fun, beguiling little set from about 1970. Alabaster eggs. This collector really loved her stuff, you can tell. An old suitcase hiding under there. The Outdoor Girls on Rainbow Lake. More rocks and geodes and fossils. Ooh, and an Alaskan little mask, just a decorative piece it looks like. Well, we're going to head on down the hall. The art all looks fun and colorful, but mostly amateur. Hello, everybody. That's a nice, handsome, big pure mirror with the oak. They've actually put a little demaloon table in front of it. Ah, yes, good thing Christmas is coming soon, because it looks like Christmas has been here a few times, and then some. I'm not sure what these ornaments in the box are. Danbury Mint Gold Christmas. Some Danbury Mint stuff sells for some money, so you can't just say, oh, well, it's something that was done by subscription on TV, so it's not worth anything, because that's not always true. So let's take a look and see what these look like. Oh yes, these are like the filigrees. I sold a whole bunch of these. I had a big collection a few years ago, and they did sell well. I feel like I got $8 to $10 a piece for some of the more elaborate ones. We'll take a few out of the box so you can see. Oh yeah, and these have some motion as well, parts that move. That definitely makes it a little more interesting. Oh, look at the airplane. Yeah, I have a feeling that these are pretty good. Aurifer's annual ornament. I just sold all of the annual Baccarat ornaments that I got when I was shopping with Jocelyn from Crazy Lamp Lady and Sandy from My Flippin' Van Life in New York. Pipe cleaners. I want them to have faces on them though. These are very cute in the original box, the little set of carolers. These look like something from Japan from about 1970. There's a little elfin figure down here. That's a Norcrest as well. Wow, pretty art glass ornament. I think art glass ornaments and orbs are definitely a direction I see going in the market, especially with the popularity of paperweights. Look at this great old store box. Too bad they put tape on it. I would like it just for the box from about 1970. And they're using it for more Christmas stuff. Ho ho! And then just about every color of ornament you could want. And it's all sitting on this very handsome bed. It looks like a 20th century version of a 19th century bed. I suspect this is by Baker or Thomasville or one of those companies, because when you look at the finish up close, you can see that it's pickled and dotted in a way that is artificial for wear, and that there's machining that went on underneath these finials. Now, machines were used in making furniture back in the 1800s, but when I see these little dots that are supposed to sort of look like wormwood and look like age, that tells me that the age on this is not as old as it's appearing to try to be. Dress form is cool. Old Sony radio. Leighton Jones, yes, this is a limited edition. This is an artist that is recognized. The clown motif not as popular as it used to be though. Nice Sheraton style dresser hiding under all of this. And oh yeah, it's even spilled into the bathroom. There's a lot of stuff in this house. It is amazing how much is in a rather small house, really, for the amount of stuff they have. Another Matryoshka doll up there, a plainer one, and then this very cute caroling piece from about 1970. And then clothes. Do we have anything fun in the clothes closet? Well, I see nice knit sweaters, very colorful. I frankly enjoy these colors, but I do associate them with an older customer. Now this is a nice piece here because this is Pendleton. And Pendleton does well here in the Northwest, so that one will definitely be a premium price. But it will be estate sale priced. This stuff all does have to go. And more and more and more Christmas everywhere you go. Here's some quilling done on a fabric background. Quilling is where you wind the paper into these geometric designs and then put it together. And gosh, there could be things just anywhere. Old bar opener. Nice old printed fabric. That looks like something from the 70s you would have seen in some hippie ashram back in the day. There's kitchenware. There's just everything everywhere in here. The old Norman Rockwell book used to be worth a bunch of money. Not so much anymore, but they still sell for something. Shows a lot of his work, and they're big enough to frame. Dolly Dingle. A few vinyl dolls in there. That looks like it might be a Miss Revlon minus her clothes. But here's a pretty cool outfit that somebody made that she could wear now. Oh yeah. I think there's probably a few rooms like this that haven't even been touched yet. I do see a pretty old ewer on the back here. This would have been part of a garniture set. I'm sure it had a match that faced the other way, and it does have damage, unfortunately. Behind it is a Fenton perfume bottle. Old candy store container. That'd be a lot more interesting if it had a name or a logo on it, though. And it looks like there's sewing machines. Aha! The Bon Marché, another good department store that we don't have anymore here in Seattle. Oh, just the feathers. Too bad. The hat must have fallen apart. And I was thinking I was going to get to model for you. In here, that's a Midwestern pottery piece. I see an old clothing brush, a little Royal Dalton girl there. This is a Bohemian decanter set. Hopefully it has its stopper somewhere. This place just goes on and on. Cute little Stride Rite shoebox. Love to see the kids' shoes in there, but it looks like it's just the box. It's not just what's in the house either. This person really liked their garden, and even though it's fall, there's still things in bloom and a ton of garden ornaments and a ton of plants, and they are all going to be for sale, including this cool wind-driven sculpture here. There are piles of ornamental rocks and a really big baker's rack. I'm sure that was festooned with plants at one time. Everywhere you turn, there's a bird bath, or a planter, or a potted fuchsia. Look at the Bigfoot chainsaw art there. Looks like he came out of Oregon. Because this is an estate sale, it means that all of the garden equipment, all the shop tools, all of the regular household items are up for sale as well. It's not just antiques and vintage. Lots of fun displays you could hang jewelry on, as well as potted plants. It'll be interesting to see how they use this stuff when it comes to the sale. I love this cart. It looks like it's missing a few slats. I would probably just have a couple pieces of glass cut to put in that, but what a great shape. Looks like it has some age, probably 1970s. I believe the people who bought this house lived here for 40 years. Smile, you're on camera. Well, I am smiling and I'm having fun, and I hope you are too. And if you are, please click that thumbs up to let people know you like this video, and subscribe if you haven't, because that way you can click the bell to be notified of all of our future videos and see cool estate sales and other fun things that we see in the antique and vintage world all over the country. More baker's racks. Look at this interesting modernist piece made of gears. That actually is really cool. I would hang that outside of my house. And then there's some big old floor jacks here. These are old. They are vintage and they are usable, and those are worth some money. I'm sure they'll sell for 3 digits somewhere. A lot of fun hanging things. I really like the piece in the middle that looks sort of Moroccan, as well as the capiz shell there. And then back here is where they have all of their garden stuff, and there's plenty to choose from. So lots of useful household objects like that big bin. Here's a couple of old slat top benches. Boy, this place just goes on and on. Looks like there's more back here too. Lots of bark. Yes, somebody will get some good use out of all of this. And here is Planter Central. Now, I don't see any vintage planters out here, but there's certainly a lot of things you could use in a garden. Another chainsaw carving, an eagle here. Then up on the porch, we've got glass orbs, which are starting to be a collectible thing. I like this piece here. This mosaic is something that looks like it was done maybe in the 1980s and has a good look with stone and glass. Nice looking older wicker piece there with a big handsome fat spider hanging in front of it. Very cute ornamental bird cage. But inside is where we see most of the vintage stuff, although this little table here is vintage as well. All right, well, we have one more floor to show you. And while we walk up there, I'd just like to say that if you are interested in a membership, you can check below the dash line in the description of any video. We do some extra bonus content and early access to our eBay listings and other things for members on certain levels. So check that out. It does really help support the channel, and we're very grateful for our members who do. Asian looking little drawer set there, a lingerie chest, another Asian chest here. These are all 1970s and 80s vintage, but useful. Ooh, and wow, looks like there's a bunch of old advertising pieces, needle cases, a gift from Gamble's Home Guard Paint Headquarters. Old sewing implements can be money. It certainly will add up to something when they can spread it out for the sale. Plushes, lots of plushes. Ooh boy. Yeah, this place is packed. There's a very pretty, it looks like a red fox. They were almost always monogrammed. And this, of course, is from the 1960s, a time before people were really thinking about the deleterious effects of fur. Pencil tree topper, more clothes, more baskets. Wow. So much stuff in this place. There's another big fur on the back wall there. Definitely do sell fur still to people who live in very cold areas. A lot of Alaskans come down and buy it here in Seattle now. Oh my goodness. So much stuff in this house. Cigar boxes galore. Aw, look at these. Now, these are pipe cleaner Christmas figures with little faces. Heaven only knows what's in here. Oh, look at the Norfolk pine. That's just about taken over the whole back area there. Sombreros. My goodness. There is a lot of stuff to come out still. Nice 1880s or 90s East Lake dresser here with the spoon carving. You have to kind of visualize it because you can just barely see it under all the stuff. This is a problem in antique malls a lot of times too, where the furniture gets hidden. But that is a pretty piece. Enameled piece. This is probably Bohemian, I'd say around 1890. Some willow tree figures, some children's dishes, a whole collection of thimbles. Look, of course, for gold and sterling first, and then there's also some cute porcelain ones. The figural ones in there look like they might be something. The yellow swing arm lamp from the 70s will actually sell pretty well. Those were 70s and 80s era, and people like the color and they're useful. I just sold one for $40 in green. A little bit more art glass in the window here. Old picnic basket. Just tons and tons of stuff when you start to get into this. Poker pot. Somebody made that to play poker and gin rummy and such on. That's cute. Wow. Giant plush giraffes. And who knows what else? A whole case full of milk glass here. But wait, there's more. Big old closet full of pantry items. An old ice bucket. Some Tupperware. And a lot of saleable cleaning products. Some studio pottery of various sorts. I like this piece. It looks like it was a honey or jam jar. Ah, that is a name I actually recognize, so we'll see what these are selling for now. This looks like a maple mid-century version of an early American highboy. With a bunch of dishware in it, including a very fancy old blue and white porcelain piece here. This might be nice to feature out in the front if it's able to be done. I don't know how much space there really is to move things around at this point. And there's another piece of it here as well. This pretty piece with the exotic birds is very typical of 1920s porcelain tableware, and this is J&B Limoges from France. And then in the middle, this piece I think is a little more contemporary, and I don't mean modern by any means, but this tureen, well, it may be older than I realized looking at the mark now. So yes, we will try to liberate these and put them in a more prominent spot. Aren't those cute? Just so much fun they're having. All twisty and turny. They're just little salt and pepper shakers, and I need them like a hole in my head because I'm selling off a several hundred piece collection, but I have never seen those before. Piggy bank. Most of these steins are not terribly valuable from the 1960s. We have a couple of university ones there, Stanford being one of them. But I do see a print back here I'd like to get out that looks older. Oh, that's actually a charcoal drawing. I don't know what's in that cheese, but wow, that cat better look out. Aw, there's a darling little child's crib from the 1920s or 30s, a doll size. And a couple of jewelry boxes. And then more cupboards full. More ceramics. A little bit of graniteware and enamelware, although those look like more modern pieces. There is one vase on the bottom that looks interesting. I'm thinking this might be Belgian or European from the type of airbrush decoration. Let's take a look. Oh, Czechoslovakian. Okay, very good. 1930s. Very pretty colors. I think I'll put that with the cobalt. Sometimes with an estate sale, the thing is about positioning this stuff so that it looks its very best, because that's how you're able to get more money for yourself and for the client. And even though I'm just a hired gun here, well, my job is to try to help do that for the people who are having the estate sale. This is a nice little Latticino paperweight. This one is Murano. I like the little egg. It's not incredibly well made because you notice the color just sort of stops at the top, but it's still cute. It's 1960s or 70s. It's definitely worth buying. And it keeps on going and going. One more room here. Wow. This is packed. This looks like it's office supplies and various paints and cleansers. And I see a sign that says tools here next to an old suitcase. Oh, they're not kidding. There's old tools, all right. Some of these old rules like this one's not super old, but they tend to sell for a little bit of money, even if it's just for estate sale prices rather than collector. Cute little old red thermos lunchbox from the 50s. Aw, that's a neat thing. Oh, and it looks like there's sale banners that they can use for the outside of the house here. That's good. Fall foliage, Halloween bells. Sears buffet skillet. Well, Sears is mostly gone in this country, so we know that has some age. DeGracia. I saw some other little pieces of DeGracia around in the house. And then what's back here? You know, I just have to snoop now that I'm here and have the opportunity. Okay, somebody found a good use for old CDs. LeGrand Ford, New Holland. I think this family was originally in Eastern Oregon. At least I'm seeing evidence of that. Bunch of old newspapers. Cute little old chest of drawers full of screws and hardware and all that kind of stuff. Ah, the classic 1970s photo cube with the groovy photos still in it. Yes, you were to show 6 pictures from various sides of home crafts that you made, and Dad in his lounge chair. Look at those great windows. Well, I'm having a lot of fun here, but I am also here to work, so I need to get back to it because, wow, now that I've seen the whole house, I see there is a lot to do. So we are going to get on it, and there will be a fun estate sale coming here soon. Look for it on estatesales.net and under Complete Estate Sales if you're in the Seattle area. And we will have more fun finding more estate sales and more interesting places to show you all over the country during our travels looking for antiques and vintage, so stick with us. If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help, and we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.